You need me to send it? Sorry? You need me to send it?
Well, goodness.
Mr. Sessions. But we're gonna do it anyway.
7:03, let's make a decision.
He did say.
All these people got stuff to do tonight.
Well, fair enough, but if we don't have a quorum, the meeting won't be official, but we're still gonna.
It's hardly an official meeting anyway.
There wasn't anything to vote on.
No, fair enough, I'm just saying, we're not gonna like kick everybody out, we're still gonna do the thing, so. But we can,
Ready?
I guess.
Okay, the meeting is called to order. Thank you all for being here. Katie, could I have a roll call for attendance, please?
Councilperson Bentley,
Here.
Bruns, Flynn, Morrissey, Stonehow, Stuchel, Wolfram. Here. Mayor Pro Tem.
Eric.
4 present. That is not a quorum, guys. So.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You can have the
No
meeting.
motion?
Yeah.
You can just,
It's just,
Yeah.
okay. All right, the meeting is adjourned. Or there is no meeting, I suppose we can say. Okay, so we have what, about 50 people here? Do we want to stick with regular rules, 3 minutes a person? Is that okay?
Yeah,
We
but
wanna go a little bit
more
shorter?
flexible, no,
A little more flexible?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I might also suggest if there are people who need to leave, Mr. Speed, like, it doesn't have to be, you know, a bummer.
Okay. The podium is open. Did anyone on council want to say anything first? Okay, we'll open the podium for 3 minutes. Hi, thanks for being here.
Hello?
I'll do it.
Hello? Is this working? No? How about now? Nothing? Should I just talk loud?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Luke Robson, moving into Ward 4, downtown business owner. Most people know that I'm an advocate for the M99 infrastructure package. Certainly everybody on city council already knows this. For my comment, rather than simply state, I want this project to happen, I would
Can
rather
you turn
live.
around, Luke, so they can all hear you this way?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's better, yeah.
So rather than simply state, I want this project to happen, I thought I would rather lay out the situation we're now in and explore the consequences of different paths of action. As of today, the M99 infrastructure package has been approved and will receive funding from TIFA, Hillsdale Renaissance, and the city of Hillsdale. Because of this, MDOT engineers are working right now with the city to design and finalize construction documents. If we continue down the path, the city of Hillsdale will benefit from a calmer downtown, 36 new parking spaces, and numerous infrastructure improvements, some of which the city has to pay for anyways. The estimated total of those would be $250,000 straight out of the city's pocket compared to the $135,000 the city's been asked to pay for this project. All of this will be accomplished with only a fraction of the true cost falling to the city of Hillsdale. Councilman Bentley says that the people don't want a road diet because of his belief, which he has never bothered to show proof of beyond Facebook comment sections and public comment sections, which we all know people with negative emotions tend to show up to anyways. He is going to try and kill this infrastructure project. That is an alternative path that we could all be dragged down and that comes with significant costs. If the project is killed next November through a ballot measure, the city will lose all of the benefits previously listed. Additionally, MDOT will charge the city for the design and engineering work that will have been performed at that time. Hillsdale Renaissance has received an email from MDOT to the city, obtained via FOIA request, stating that this reimbursement bill will at a minimum cost likely over $100,000. In all likelihood, the bill will be well over that and probably exceed the $135,000 that the city is already obligated to pay. The two pathways are simple: to proceed with the infrastructure plan as approved or kill it next year and reimburse the state. Plan A will cost the city $135,000 and comes with substantial benefits, including a number of infrastructure projects that the city has to do anyways, and which would exceed that $135,000 line item if the city paid for them by itself. Plan B, killing the diet next year, will cost a similar amount and the city will receive nothing in return. Killing the project now or in the future would be a fiscal disaster. It would needlessly harm the city budget, potentially requiring tax increases on the people of Hillsdale. It would kneecap the city's ability to one day end special assessments and improve our side streets. I know that I am not in favor of increased taxes, needless expense, and crap roads, and I'm sure that the people of Hillsdale are not in favor of those either. For these reasons, I hope that the City Council continues to support this infrastructure package.
I have a more intimate view of M99 than most. I live on Broad Street and I look out my front door all the time and see the traffic going down there. While most of you get to enjoy a neighborhood street.
Can't hear in the back here.
Yep. Is this working? I'll just talk loud. Okay, so while most of you get to enjoy a neighborhood street, I don't get to enjoy a neighborhood street. I get to enjoy effectively a speedway or almost a freeway that goes right in front of my house. I lost a dog to it. The person who hit the dog didn't slow down, didn't stop. No idea who it was. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was working out in my front yard and watched a road rage incident happen just in front of my house, and it caused a collision just a couple of doors down. There were pieces of the vehicle that flew off onto the sidewalk. Neither car stopped. Both cars kept flying down the road at 50 plus miles per hour. This is a fairly normal occurrence if you live there. I've watched, there's a crosswalk just in front of my house. I live at Broad and South. Even during Fair Week, I've watched people try to cross that crosswalk there where just a block farther down they've had to stop, or they will have to stop. So there's already sort of clear indications, at least some indications, that maybe you should drive with caution. I've seen people not stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk. I wouldn't let my children use that crosswalk when there are cars coming. It's the sort of thing you use it at your own peril. I would say all of the cues around the road, from the fairgrounds all the way through downtown, suggest to people that you should drive fast, that you should drive hard, that you should not pay a lot of attention. But it's also a neighborhood street, or it should be. I think that those of us who live along the street are owed at least that. I realize that we probably can't limit the volume of traffic on that road, but we certainly can do something about the cues on the road, the way that they indicate to people that you should drive on it. I think that if the road diet accomplishes nothing other than getting people to drive a couple miles per hour slower along that road and making that road a little bit safer for my kids, particularly for, I think, of the folks who are trying to park and get out and go to St. Anthony's on almost every Sunday. That there's eventually going to be some kind of major tragedy that happens here because of the way that people treat that road, and the way that people treat that road is directly related to the way that the road is constructed. If we can narrow it, if we can slow it down, I think that we can lead to the better health and safety of our kids and our neighborhood. Thanks.
Penny Swan, Ward 4. Given the tragic assassination today, I've changed my public comment. I think we all should dial it down, some of this anger and rhetoric. Take a breath and try and be rational. The road diet is not some last minute scheme that's been pushed out there. I voted on the thing back in like 2013 at the Planning Commission. I think we talked it over a few times. There were actually in the early road plan, there were traffic circles, which I hate those things. I lived in Boston, was in England, I hate them. So I had to pass it just to let it go forward. Sometimes you gotta vote on things on the Planning Commission that you personally don't like, but to go forward, it's constitutional and you have to vote yes. So it's been discussed for nearly 20 years. It's been to the Planning Commission, it's been to council multiple times and voted and passed every single time. The city staff haven't hidden it from anybody. It's been on the agenda, it's been in the minutes. If you pay attention to what's going on in the city, you'll know it's been there. So it's not something that's been hidden under the, dark cloud of City Hall. It's been there, out there. So I don't understand why everybody thinks it's been the wool's been pulled under people's eyes, because it just hasn't. So it's time we act like adults, respect the decisions already made, and move forward. Government moves slow. That's the way it does, and it does that for a reason, for protections. People can see what's going on and publicity and vote on it. And this has been voted on numerous times, maybe like 8 times between planning commission and council. So respect the process, be adults, and move on.
I don't have any trouble talking loud. I raised a U.S. Marine, and I can raise my voice. Okey doke. To those who want me to pretend like I am in favor of this, I am not in favor of this, and I'll tell you why. Every time I take my eyes off this city council, they come up with a new way to pick my pocket. This is a bad habit. But when you limit the truck traffic on Broad Street, and I totally understand Eric's position, but I don't know that my grandchildren need to be put in the way of the traffic that's gonna come down Howell, because that's where it's gonna go. It's the nearest parallel road, and it's going to get very, very busy because we're keeping them off of Broad, which is the most direct route. So, because of this, and I can't imagine that all these studies have been made before all these numerous votes, the way Hillsdale treats their streets, I don't understand why they're so willing to spend money on a street that's not in bad shape. If I lived on South Street or Frisbee, I would be livid. And you may think I'm livid now, but people who know me will tell you I'm not even close to what I can be. But anyway, so you're gonna damage Howell. You're gonna run trucks up and down Howell, and the next thing that's gonna happen is we're gonna have broken pieces on Howell Street. And you know what the city council is going to do to fix this problem for me? They're gonna charge me $5,000, me and all my neighbors, $5,000 to fix the road they destroyed. I don't like that. When I've torn something up, I don't mind paying for it, but when somebody else tears up something that I use, I don't think that's my responsibility. Some of these homes on Howell, including my own, have been lived in for 100 years. So suddenly we gotta have truck traffic so that it's quiet on Broad. Sorry. Okay, if a real assessment of the number of bicyclists in Hillsdale had been assessed properly, you'd see that the most bicycles are in dormitory lots at the college. Well, these bike lanes don't go anywhere near the college. You're not trying to help people who ride bikes. No. So you'd have to be thank you. Everybody else went over.
No, sir, no, ma'am.
Um,
That's all right. There's
we
no
said
meeting.
we were going to be,
It's not a meeting.
only the most self-destructive among us would try to ride a bike on 99. And you folks who courted my vote when you were running for election and told me how important my vote was, now you don't want my vote. Now you want me to sit down and shut up and let you spend my hard-earned tax money any way you choose. That is not a good thing in the United States. In the United States, the citizen gets to vote on how their tax money is spent. And instead of currying the favor of our tax and spend state government, you might want to think about how often you're gonna see those people on the street. But you are gonna see me, unless you move away, you're gonna see me at the fair, You're gonna see me at the farmer's market, you're gonna see me at parades, unless you've taxed them out of existence. And it's gonna be embarrassing for you, because in America, stifling the vote of the tax-paying citizen is not a good idea. It is not constitutional, and it's gonna be something that you're gonna carry the rest of your lives. So gentlemen, and I use the term loosely, bring this financial boondoggle to the vote. Bring it, put it on the ballot so that every voice can be heard, not just the people who are willing to give you $10,000 to get it breezed through. Everybody's voice needs to be heard, because Eric Quakendahl is right about his front street. I'm right about my front street too. All of us need to have the opportunity to vote on this.
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Elizabeth Schlieder. My husband and I live on 96 Hillsdale. We've lived there since 2005. We have remaining 5 children at home. 5 at home, 4 out of the house, 2 at the college right now. And I really appreciate that the council wants to hear from the constituents on this and gauge support. Stand the opposition. I have friends on both sides of this question. I consider Ginger a friend. I talked with her son, who's very knowledgeable and raised some really good points, and his point was this is not complete. He told me I'm not against it, but this is not complete. And Nathan and I, when we first heard about this plan, frankly, were very skeptical and probably opposed. We don't like bike lanes. It sounds like a liberal gimmick that's going to end up badly for everyone. We do not want to be taxed more. We don't want the cities getting embroiled in a situation where they're spending all this money when they can't fix our roads. And frankly, MDOT ruined downtown in 2005 when they came in and redid the roads. But the more I learned about this plan, the specifics of what's happened, the more I read the pro and con debates in our wonderful local online newspaper, the Hillsdalean, the more I was convinced on the merits that this is good for this town. And frankly, it's good for my street and my family as well. We drive through downtown several times a day. I send kids to walk. They used to walk to school across that criminal intersection for which the state should be sued down there with Carlton and Broad. But we came around on this for 3 main reasons. Number one, the design prioritizes pedestrians, walkability, business health, and safer driving over volume and speed of traffic. If you've been in our downtown, I want that. And people will drive the way the street is designed. I'm guilty of this myself. That street, as Eric said, is designed like a 4-lane highway. So you have aggressive passing, you have people speeding up to get around someone else. So I like the design. I don't like bike lanes, but I sure as heck like a buffer zone that allows me to open a car door without getting it sheared off by a truck and get a child out of a vehicle and see traffic. I mean, peeking around a car to try and cross that street if you're not at a crosswalk is a near-death sentence, especially with kids. So safety, incredibly important. Secondly, I became convinced on the financial importance of this move. Not only for the things that Rob brought up, that we're already we're gonna owe the state. I didn't fully realize that. I just think it's a good return on investment for the taxpayer. I want the SADs ended. I want the city to be able to fix the roads. Frankly, this helps that. Refusing it means we're gonna have to pay, the number I heard was over $800,000 of infrastructure repairs that are in this $2 million project that we don't have to pay, that the state will pay. The city would have had to pay that. That would have come out of my pocket. So I think on the financial front, it's a good investment, it's a good use, It's a good shepherding of my taxpayer dollars, a 97% return on investment. I like that. The last thing that really convinces me, and I would just ask you to use your own eyes as you drive through downtown, is if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But if it is broke, fix it. Better yet, get MDOT, who broke it, to come in and pay to fix it. If you drive down through downtown, you can just see the number of vacant storefronts, especially on the 4-lane stretch, is significant, possibly more than half. Somebody should count it up. Downtown is not flourishing. If downtown were flourishing and I felt safe walking kids there and I could get to church and school easily, I would be with Bentley. Don't touch it, no road diet, I don't want any part of it. Just use your eyes, it's not flourishing. So I would like to see this pass. I've really become convinced on the merits, and I hope that my own councilman will reconsider his opposition, looking at the different arguments that have been presented. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about it.
Hi, my name is Joel Calvert. I was raised in Hillsdale. I live here with my wife and 2 kids. I think a surprising number of people in this room taught me growing up. So needless to say, I love Hillsdale, I love living here. I drive on Broad Street a couple of times every day, take my kids, wherever they need to go. And maybe some of you have seen me running around as well. I do some of that. But I want to come here and say that I'm in favor of the project. I'm not your most, I don't know, knowledgeable expert guy on any of this, but it seems like a pretty good deal to me if the city can spend $135,000 and get $870,000 worth of work out of it. Whether or not that money should come directly from the pockets of the city, I'm not entirely convinced of that. I know there's been ideas passed around, so maybe those could be investigated more. But the reason why I'm here is because I enjoy listening and reading about city planning, and everything that I've come across has said that, well, this is about congestion. Everything that I've come across has said that a 3-lane street with a dedicated left turn lane is as efficient or more efficient than a 4-lane that we've got, like we've got on Broad Street right now. So I'm going to turn this into book club real quick and just read this little section. This is from Walkable City by Jeff Speck. Jeff Speck is a city planner. Page 166 for anybody who wants to check me. In a road diet, a standard 4-lane street is replaced by a 3-lane street, 1 lane in each direction, and a center lane reserved for left turns. What is remarkable about road diets is not that they save lives, that is to be expected. Rather, a surprising thing is that they do not reduce a street's carrying capacity. Thanks to the inherent efficiency of maintaining a dedicated turning lane, the typical road diet does nothing to lower the traffic volume of a street. A comparison of 17 different road diets conducted by the engineering firm ICOM found that only 2 streets lost capacity, while 5 stayed the same, and 10 actually handled more cars per day after the conversion. These numbers are important because most road diet opponents are fearful of increased congestion. So I wanted to come and read that because I came across it and thought it was interesting and very relevant. Again, I'm not an expert, but this guy is, and this book was written in 2012. The studies about road diets that it cites were done before that. So this is not new information. Road diets are not a new thing. It's a very known quantity, although I haven't known about it for very long, but apparently, that's the case. So we should argue, we should discuss, but maybe we don't have to argue about congestion as much as we have been. So if that can help focus the discussion a little bit, then I will have maybe done my job. But thank you.
And I have no doubt everyone can hear my big voice. My name is Felicia. I'm a business owner in Hillsdale, 25 Hillsdale Street. I do not live in the city, so I do not get votes, but I pay a heck of a lot of taxes. I am pro road diet. If you read into it, MDOT's coming through regardless of what we decide. They're gonna redo some stuff no matter what we decide, so it's already there. If you read into it, right now we have bike paths already. They're just in the lane that slow you down and you get mad and you go around them and get all, they make me late for work. So they're already there. It's not changing anything when we put in a road or a bike path and a safety zone, except the fact that, several people in here can get their kids out of their car seats without getting hit by a semi driving by. It takes a lot longer to get them out of those car seats than my lovely children now that are old enough to get out themselves and head over to the other side of the vehicle. But I was there. I avoid parking on Broad Street for that reason. I don't park on Broad Street when I go to the market every week because it's dangerous. Going to the filling station, Ethan's Donuts, fetch dog grooming. I don't park on the street unless I absolutely have to. It's too dangerous to get yourself out, never mind kids, a dog, etc. If we've read the whole thing, we're gaining 35 parking spots over by the post office. Huge for myself, huge for the post office, huge for, we're talking to DG Gelzer's, was it High Street Insurance, that whole area is getting some more parking. Hillsdale needs parking. Cook Street, terrible intersection. Takes it off onto Bacon, no longer a street. How can we get more excited about that? I didn't grow up in Hillsdale, so a 4-lane highway through our downtown, I always thought that was really crazy. We don't even have that in Battle Creek where I grew up, and we're talking 3 times the size of a town. So, changing up Budlong area, great idea. It's not really costing the city anything. It's really gonna cost us not to do it. So, there's my 2 minutes and 18 seconds of fun activity. Thank you. Now I can help my children.
David Hamilton, Ward 4. And I have to confess that I'm firmly on the fence on this thing. I have a nasty aversion. Please hear this. Grant dollars are Satan's work. They are absolutely our tax dollars being filtered through somebody's office up in Lansing is taking the cream, salting a little bit of cash back because we qualify under bike lanes. Really? We qualify for bike lanes. I sit on the TIF board, and I brought up a couple of years ago, we've got a groundwater problem on Howell Street. The same is true, not to the same extent, to the east, because in 2005, MDOT fixed Broad Street, and they just about put Gelzer's out of business doing it. They just about put Gelzer's out of business doing it. We welcome them back to do another project. These are not our friends. These are self-interested people in Lansing that are about Lansing, and they're throwing Lansing solutions and Ann Arbor solutions at Hillsdale. This is Hillsdale. It's the people, right? I moved my family here in 2007 because of the college, because of people like Luke coming out of there, and so many of you who bring a sense of government is by the people, of the people, for the people, not by a management plan. We've got a good manager. I'm glad of that. I really am. If you weren't a conscientious and faithful man, there could be all kinds of trouble going on here. And I don't think there's a bad actor in the room. I think that there's things that need to be corrected. I think we should have started 15 years ago with making our roads right with the budget that's allocated. There's a county limit on how much money can be spent on keeping our roads safe, and the groundwater issue should be covered under the same budget because there's a budget for that, and it's set. And we've come up with a scheme to make special assessment districts that are not a tax, but show up on your tax bill. If you don't pay them, they come after you for a tax foreclosure. That's not a tax. It's trying to answer a problem. The problem is the roads need fixed. Without taking the money that you're allocated and doing it out of the budget. It's doing it in exception of the budget. This road diet happens to be doing work that needs doing. The groundwater needs fixed. We've got at least 5 catch basins and hardware up and down Broad Street, up and down South Howell in that area that need work, and it's gonna cost us $250,000 to get those things done. If they're going to be done in the context of this road diet, and the road diet's gonna cost us $350,000, I'd say that's a pretty good cut, because the TIFA contribution's coming out of the city too. It happens to be that there's enough value in this thing that I voted for it on TIFA. I don't like the fact that we stand here and pat ourselves on the back for having passed this 5 times. So now, when it's time to pass the money part, and you got 1 week to do that, or Lansing, for Lansing's convenience, is gonna shut you down for another year, you better vote. And we've already voted for it 5 times that didn't involve money out of your constituents' pockets. Now, when it's money out of your constituents' pockets, well, we've already voted for it 5 times. No, we voted to examine it 5 times. And then what did the voters have to say about it? What did the voters have to say? Did they get the plan laid out and published so that they could look and make a rational decision?
Yep.
I never saw it. I saw bits and pieces. I saw part, and I'm paying attention. I know there's folks that are trying, but you're busy. You're going to work, paying bills. You haven't got time to sit and go through a placemaking study and figure out what they're saying. So, please, understand that when you're voting about spending our money, give us a shot at that. Let us see the plan. If Lansing comes up with for their convenience, time limit, if you don't buy by Friday, I've seen salesmen before, right? Again, I happen to think there's enough value in this thing to vote for it, but I really don't like the way it's been delivered. I really don't think it's been delivered fairly to the voters to support or not support through their representatives. I think we can do this better. I think we need to proceed and get this done, because again, there are issues that need fixing, that are gonna cost us money, and they're gonna cost us ultimately more than they will if we enact this plan. So it's not that I like it, I think that it's the right thing to do. I hope, very much hope, that we can get it done. And I hope that it's not as painful as 2005. I'm very sad.
So, my name is Cindy Bezick. I own the Hillsdale filling station right in the dead center of this project in the downtown. I've owned that building 24 years. I watched today as the traffic lights all went out when we had no power, semis whipping through the stop signs and stop lights without stopping at 50 miles an hour. This year I've replaced a store window because of a semi bouncing metal off of it and busted a window. Luckily, as my son says, no one was sitting outside at the tables because they'd have been dead. I've had a customer lose a mirror about 3 weeks later. I've also had a customer had his truck ripped open from end to end like a sardine can because the lanes are too narrow. And the road commission plow truck back in January, everyone remembers the media on this, ripped open 3 vehicles. Those lanes are too narrow. The speed limit is a suggestion. I was on the fence with this project when they all brought it up. Now, I will say, I've been on TIFA for nearly 15 years. I'm about to term out. I was here when we did the placemaking study. We sat in this room for public meetings to present it to the public more than once. Public had all the input, they were asked the questions to do this. So placemaking study is not new. Is it perfect? No. Census change, people change, different ideas change. So nothing is ever perfect. But as I sit and watch the traffic fly by at 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, and my customers can't get out of their car, that's dangerous. I don't like the extra tax monies and this, that, and the other. I don't like calling it a bike lane because the only reason it's called a bike lane is to get the grant from the state, which was our original revenue sharing monies. I call it a buffer zone because I like being able to open my car door safely, even at 6 a.m. when I still have to watch it. I've talked to residents of Tecumseh, Quincy, Jonesville, and Coldwater, business owners and residents that have gone through these projects. Every single one of them likes it. They say it's safer. The people actually come into their shops and their downtowns are thriving because people had the chance to actually see what's going on without blinders on as they go through. It is not a perfect plan. It is a lot of money. I don't like spending taxes. I just wrote the city a big tax bill too. But I also went through the 2005 when they tore it up and redid our infrastructure and redid and changed Broad Street in Carlton. They're gonna tear it up and rebuild it anyways. Basically, it's how the line's gonna be. I want it slowed down for our safety. I want it slowed down so the seniors at St. Anthony's can get out of their cars safely as they open their door, even at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, because I watched a lady nearly get creamed just trying to get out of her car with a cane. Saturday, as I told Mr. Moore when we were talking earlier, a day or so ago, I had to help a 20-year-old girl get her van out of the parallel parking in front of my shop because she couldn't get out. She thought she was parked in because, one, she didn't have a camera, it was too old a vehicle, and she doesn't know how to parallel park without a camera. But she couldn't even get into her car because of the traffic zooming by so fast at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And it was very dangerous. It took me nearly 10 minutes to get in the car and then to be able to get her out of the space to be able to go on her way. Like I said, I don't like all the tax implications, the money, the semantics, everything. But at the same time, what's gonna be the best for our community, for thriving downtown, our safety of our vehicles and our people and our residents on the main roads. It's one of those, it might be a bitter pill to swallow, but isn't it better to do it now and get it safer and done and over with than, oh, let's kick the can down the road again for 20 years and now 6 more side roads are a piece of crap. My opinion only.
You don't need a microphone.
My name is Greg Bailey, a Ward 3, former mayor of the city of Hillsdale, and I'd like to speak on behalf and in favor of the road diet, and I'd like to speak to the governance issue and specifically to the council people. I think they need to trust and respect the process. Professional planning and civil engineering firm designed the plan. MDOT has reviewed and approved it. Planning Commission has reviewed and approved it. TIFA has reviewed and approved it, and they are funding it. You as a council have reviewed and approved it and have passed it by a 5-3 vote. Trust and respect the process. Yes, there are people who disagree with the plan, no question, but I would argue that they're the vocal minority. I believe that we are not a true democracy in terms of the definition. We are a representative democracy. We've elected you folks to do the work for us, and we're trusting that you do that. I know it's difficult to know what everybody's thinking, but we can't take each issue and suddenly go to the voters and say, should we do this? Should we do this? Should we do this? That's what these people are here for, and we need to trust them to do that. We need to trust and respect the process, and I believe that you should allow this to move forward. You've already approved it, 5-3 vote, and it should move forward. I believe that it will create safety for the citizens of the Hillsdale, and I hate the fact that we're focusing on the bike lane because that's one white stripe on this lane. It's a tiny, minuscule part of this project. So, and I don't believe, to address the earlier lady's point, I don't believe they're going to prohibit trucks on Howell Street. You might think that trucks might go to Howell Street, but they're not prohibiting trucks. They're just gonna hopefully move slower. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Laura Smith. I served on the Planning Commission for 7 years when a lot of this began. thank you to our previous mayor for everyone who spoke. I think people of goodwill can agree and disagree on some parts of this. Council passed it. Planning Commission has been working on this for decades. It's coming to fruition. I'm looking at all of these business owners from downtown, and I think more insurance. I called you the other day because I didn't want to park my car outside. And I would have liked to have seen you, but I see you today, right? I want to just encourage the citizens, this is actually a moment of opportunity. It passed. How do we make it as much good as possible and as little bad for the people that are unhappy about it? The economic development piece of this for decades has needed to happen. It's good, right? It's very difficult to get down to Dr. Ellis's when I have a sick child and park and safely pull out, and that was last week. I mean, I can look at all of you going to Cindy's for a sandwich. It's scary. I also want to speak on behalf of special needs citizens. I have a special needs son who will never drive. He's a pedestrian. It is dangerous to send him independently downtown. We don't need to keep hitting the safety drum, okay? It's ridiculous. It's past, council, okay? It's past. There's a collective memory that many of you do not hold, that the citizens here hold. So you need to respect the history and all of the work. I can completely see the anger at the grant money from the gentleman from the Navy. I'm a Marine mom, so there's two of us in here. I can see the anger. No one likes to see our tax money that goes up to Lansing coming back with someone putting a finger on it. If it's a bike lane or what, I get it. I hate driving down to U of M and that stupid bike lane getting to the hospital. Hate it, I understand it. We've taken that away here. It's a line. You know what, it's a negotiation. But the good, it's an opportunity moment for us. We need to just take the opportunity, rebuild the community around us, take your mental brain power and go up to Lansing and make the arguments that they shouldn't hold the money over small municipalities with a bike lane. It's our money, we want it back, right? Let's use those arguments. We've got the mental firepower in our community to tell Lansing, we're gonna do it local, we're gonna do it our way, but we're not gonna turn it on each other, right? Let's build the community, get our money flowing back from the state. That was my next thing. Let's make it as little bad as possible. 2, thank you for all the people that put the hard work in. There's so much that goes in behind the scenes, our city manager, our council people. You guys, I watched a lot on YouTube meetings. I couldn't make it, but there's a lot of work that goes in. I appreciate all the people that disagreed. What I would have given to have had a room like this when we were doing this 15, 16 years ago when very few people would show up and have an opinion. This is a sign of health in a community. So thank you for coming, whether you're for it or whether you're against it. But I think we need to accept the process. It won in council. Pushing it forward is only going to create, pushing an idea of putting it on a ballot is only going to create a cantankerous more in our community when we can make this less bad and move it forward. Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate you being willing to make that. I keep hearing a lot of people speaking in favor of road diet and how we need to trust the process. And can you hear me in the back? Okay. How we need to trust the process and respect city council and history of this whole road diet process, that the experts are in charge and they're coming up with this plan and they know what's best for the city. Well, this isn't necessarily a technocracy here in Hillsdale County. We're supposed to be a democracy, and those people are supposed to represent what the people of the city want, whether the experts in city council or Lansing or elsewhere decide, you know, hey, this is a great plan, let's do it. Even if it's a great plan, sometimes what might be great for some people are not great for other people. Or, for example, Broad Street, the lady who spoke before me just mentioned the history of this whole project. Well, what about the history of Broad Street here in Hillsdale? It goes back to almost the city's founding. Like, it's called Broad Street for a reason, and that's part of the cultural heritage of this city. And then also, we can call it a buffer zone, we can call it a bike lane, we can call it whatever we want. You can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. Like, we've seen the bike lanes in Lansing, and we've seen it in other very liberal areas of the country and liberal cities. And what that bike lane coming into our town would represent would be a political inroad into our community that a lot of people in this town don't want to see, because that bike lane is a visual reminder of power of Lansing and the democratic government over a lot of these smaller towns. I think I've exhausted about everything else that I can say.
Excuse me, mind introducing yourself?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, I apologize. Zach Steiger, Ward 1. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for reminding me. At previous council meetings, so I will see you there.
Good evening, I'm John Novak. I used to live in the city of Hillsdale, over on Norwood Street. I now live outside, but I travel down Broad Street every single day, 2 or 3 times a day at least. So, we all talk about not wanting the semis downtown. Great, let's get them out of downtown. Give them a place to go around where they can travel smoothly and safely, and keep them out of pedestrians' ways, out of the passenger cars that we want to stop at the businesses. I know why businesses want that road diet. They want people to be able to park and go in and be customers. Awesome, I'm all for that. Like, it needs to happen. We got a beautiful downtown. Let's let it make some money for us. But these commercial trucks, they're not gonna stop going down there. They'll just compound the traffic pattern. So get them out of downtown. We need to slow it down, fine. But we need to also recognize that these commercial trucks have a purpose too. They bring in money. So we want them close. They're not gonna be parallel parking a semi on the side of Broad Street anyway. It's not a good idea. So we need to bypass. If we can come up with the idea to do Lifeways, whether Lifeways, $20 million bond, and we can't raise some money to do a bypass, what are we doing this for? So if we're gonna do this, let's do this. But let's come up with money and a plan to go forward and get the commercial traffic out and flowing smoothly around downtown.
Well, my name is Tim Sullivan. My wife Jackie and I have lived in this community for 35 years. We live in Hillsdale Township. Want to thank City Council for all their work, and Tifa. They're thankless jobs, right? Sometimes it's hard to get people to even run for these jobs. As I say, we've lived here a long time. We live in Hillsdale Township, but we've chosen to invest in 3 buildings downtown. About 4 or 5 years ago, because we love Hillsdale, we wanted to do our part for the community, be more involved in the community. Also, it's a long-term investment. We'll see in 10 or 20 years if it was a good investment or not. I think other people more eloquent than I, Mr. Rapson, Mr. Bailey, summarized it very well. Mr. Joel Calvert, great to see you with the book on the road diet. That was impressive. A friend of mine a year or 2 ago asked me, she said, our town isn't very walkable, and I challenged her on this. And she said, go to a city hall meeting someday, which I've gone to a few. And I challenge you to park downtown, try to get to City Hall, or walk from the library to City Hall, and then walk to the Dawn. So, we're trying to do some good things in the community. We have some people that are investing, trying to make some changes. I really didn't believe this friend of mine when she told me that, but I've tried it, and it's challenging. This week, I stopped to get a sandwich at Cindy Bezak's. I go there once or twice a week, the Hillsdale filling station. Try to park on the facing north and open your car door to go in and get lunch. It's tough. Go visit more insurance services and park on Broad Street or any of the other local businesses that are represented here. I also would say that I think when you look around, the majority of downtown business owners are here, right? I mean, raise your hand if you own a downtown building. Okay. So I think that speaks volumes to, these are people whose livelihoods are on the line. they're taking care of their families, and they are for this. So it's not just about the money, but it's about planning. It's what's good for our community. If you came out last week, Mr. Robson sponsored the party right downtown. Great time. So people are trying to do some things in our community. And I think, as Mr. Bailey said very well, we want to trust the process. But, you know, the last thing I'll say is we live in a great country with the democratic process. I heard, you know, our community member here speak so passionately. And whatever side you're on, this is a great process that we can all come and express our opinions. So thank you, City Council. And whichever side you're on, thank you for expressing your opinion tonight. But my wife Jake and I are very much in favor of this.
Next last spring, keep hearing about the democratic process, and everybody's all excited that all the governments had their chance to run it through and do all the stuff and ignore the people. You see that there's a lot of people that haven't made it today. They're all the ones that voted for this, except for Mr. Wolford. I'm surprised you showed up. Thank you. Regardless, all the people that respect the process, I hope you respect the fact that there's still one more step left in this process. There will be a petition, and I've had it run over with the clerk. She says it's viable. It only takes one person in the city that lives here to file this petition and suspend what all the government's done and give the people a chance to gather signatures, which should be around 600-ish, and put this on ballot. Thank you.
Eric Lloyd-Hoyser, formerly Ward 1 and then Ward 3, and now a former business owner from downtown. I'm going to be very brief, but I just wanted to mention something. We talked about, you know, the semis coming through and the 4 lanes, and we need to make it easier, you know, for semis in the meantime. Various arguments have been brought up. I would just like to just reflect for a minute about the fact that when Broad Street was Broad Street, it was 2 lanes. And there were fishing posts all along by the courthouse.
Yep.
Iron ditching posts.
Still are some.
It was 2 lanes. They figured out because we were built around the horse at that time.
There's still a hitching post on 2 North Hall.
So we were built around the horse, okay? Then we were built around the railroad. Carlton Road was called Railroad Street. There was a roundhouse, you know, we were built around the railroad. And we know what happened next. We just got built around interstates and semis, and that's where we are now. In the meantime, the scale of humans has not changed. I think this diet is trying to get downtown back to the scale of human beings. People can walk around, they can look at things, they can look in a shop window, they can open the door, they can be with their kids, they can be with their dogs. So we're not built around trains or semis anymore. We're also built around people. And this is a plan that allows the trucks to do their job, it allows the businesses to do their work, allows the people to be here and enjoy the quality of life. So it's the people.
Hello, I'm Nikki Ellis. I'm a business owner downtown and pediatrician, so thank you. I've been here living a little over 15 years and fell in love with Hillsdale almost immediately, mostly because we're a community that can have these discussions and really hash out a lot of this. This really makes us wonderful. We're a huge melting pot of a lot of different people, and that's why I love this town. I agree that we don't have very many bikers, and so using our huge quantity of bikers as a reason to have a bike lane is probably not great. Currently, I would recommend no children or adults try to bike down Broad Street. I know personally, I would like a little bit more room to feel a little bit safer coming out of my vehicle. I don't know if other people feel that way, that's just my personal feeling. One of the things that I do know, that especially with children, is if you build it, they will come. We may not have very many bikers, but if we create a safer environment for walking and riding bikes, it turns out that it's a little less intimidating for children and adults to do so. So I think that potentially, in addition to all of the great opinions that everyone has had, and I agree with everyone, I don't like Lansing telling me what to do. I don't want Ann Arbor, we're not Ann Arbor, and I'm sure glad of it. I wouldn't live there even if you paid me. I live here, and I live here for a reason. We're not those places, and that's what makes us great. But I do think that we could potentially make it just a little easier for kids to ride their bikes, or to walk, or to give children a little bit more freedom and autonomy to live in this great community, because we are really pretty wonderful. So thank you.
Hi everyone, Matt Bell, live in Ward 4. Nobody knows who I am. That's a good thing now. I used to serve on city council for 5 years. They added a 5th year because of bad behavior. I never voted for a road diet. There were some things about let's study walkability, let's look at traffic patterns, but nobody ever presented it as we're going to reduce it down to 2 lanes. I agree with what Eric said. Everybody's been great. We're all neighbors. I love that we can come and talk as neighbors. That's good. We're not enemies all the time. We're just opponents on this measure, and we're friends when we walk out the door. So thanks for that. I agree with what Eric said about families walking and dogs and all those things, and people cycling. I cycle with my kids down to the farmer's market every Saturday, and we take the roads that are safe. We don't go on M99 because it's a faster road. It's a main artery through the city, and that's what it's meant to be. It's M99. So if you go to the farmer's market, you can see there's lots of parking. People get out, walk across the street, they walk around the city. It almost seems like half the city is there, right? So this is a solution in search of a problem. It has an ideology behind it, and that ideology is not evil, but it seeks to get rid of cars and make people dependent on walking and city transit and things like that. It's also, you know, if I had a special interest, I would be here too. My interest is in trying to get to work with the rest of the city. I don't think it will make anything safer. We could reduce the speed limit a bit as we have it. It will make things more dangerous because if you have cyclists, assuming Dr. Ellis that they show up, if you have cyclists that expect you to do something as a car, but none of our cars who drive around here are trained to, you know, respect the bike lane, we're gonna have a lot of problems between those two things, assuming we get cyclists. I don't know. It works right now. Again, council, I'm not saying it's a surprise, you know, everybody's known about this, there's been meetings and stuff. We moved to a small town so we could avoid waiting at a stoplight for more than once, right? I've lived in lots of big cities, well, 2 big cities, and other places that are near big cities, and it's awful waiting at 3, 4, 5 stoplights. There's just as many studies that show that the 3-lane pattern gives you more traffic and danger in some ways, especially if you have public transit, which luckily we don't have too much public transit to deal with. And then the last few points that I've just been thinking about is that cutting it down to 2 lanes won't make the area flourish. People will avoid the downtown because they're gonna say, I'm not gonna go in that mess and wait longer than I had to. There are, for every 1 person in here who's opposed to it, based on all the people I've talked to and all the people they've talked to, almost every single one is opposed. I guarantee you there are 200 or 300 people per every 1 person in here that's against it. They just don't know or not paying attention to what's going on. if we do this and cut down to 2 lanes, everybody's gonna be mad, except for perhaps, and you're my neighbors, I love you, the people in this room who are for it. I bet you could probably fit all the people who are for it in this room right now.
Disagree.
Yeah.
We should bring it back up, council. All it takes is four brave councilmen to tell Lansing, repair the roads as they are. We like the traffic pattern, let's slow it down, let's get more enforcement. If we think people are going too fast, that's a good idea. Eric, I'm sorry about your dog, and I think we should have safe roads. Everybody agrees on that. MDOT can repave it for the cost that they were planning to spend. We can make little changes on the outsides as we need to, if we think we can improve some little areas. And we can have traffic that flows nice like a little town should in the middle of the Midwest Hillsdale. So, thanks everybody.
Hi, I'm Mary Wolfram, Ward 3, but I'm here to speak for, as the Dawn Theater, the Friends of the Dawn Theater. I'm the chair of that volunteer group. And Matt, I'm glad to hear that we can disagree and still be friends as we walk out the door, because I can't tell you how much I disagree with it. I think that the pattern on Broad Street is broken. I think we do have a problem, and I think this road diet or road calming, I like that concept better, can help. It's not perfect. No one loves everything about it, but we have a dangerous traffic pattern right now. So I'm very often in front of the Dawn Theater unloading things for a show or decorating it or whatever. And it is dangerous. It is dangerous and it is noisy. We do have a problem. It is broken. You know, that I'm with other people going to St. Anthony's, hoping my car door doesn't get ripped off as you get out of the car. And another board member of the Friends of the Dawn Theater is one of the 3 cars that the snowplow like ripped into. You know, I wasn't there, I didn't see it, but her car was totaled. I mean, it was a significant accident. She wasn't reimbursed well from her employer, so she's driving a different car, but like not a super great one, because that one got wrecked. So it is dangerous, and I would suggest that the danger, you know, it's not worth being able to not get to work like 6 seconds quicker. Like that's just not valid, if you will. But also I do understand where people are angry about having to pay for the roads to get fixed, although my husband and I did, but you know, the special assessments. But who that anger should be directed to is the way the state of Michigan allows us municipalities to fund the roads to fix them. And a city like Hillsdale in the state of Michigan only has property taxes to be able to collect. And because we're an older city and a confined city, we haven't expanded the boundaries, the housing stock is getting older, and so the value of those houses is going down. And so the taxes, therefore, you know, you don't have a great tax base to collect taxes from. I mean, you could do an income tax, but nobody wants to talk about that. So if you really want to look at where the problem lies, it is with the state, and the state has reduced revenue sharing by significant amounts year after year after year. And if you want to see those numbers, you can look at Dr. Wolfram's study on revenue sharing, and you can see that this is really the problem. It's not the city. The city's being very efficient about their use of the dollars that they can use, which is only property taxes on older houses. So you should direct that anger where it is. And also this idea that we don't want this road diet because it allows us to have bike lanes. Like, okay, don't call them bike lanes. Like, you know, all of a sudden, because that's the word they use to give us a buffer to be able to parallel park or open your car door. Like, that's also just silly to be that negative about an entire plan because you don't like the fact that someone in Lansing that, yes, would like to see more bike usage, called it a bike lane. Like, just don't call it a bike lane. But anyway, we're for it. The Dawn Theater would be I think, better attended if you didn't have to fight to park there and be dangerous to get out of your car. Thank you.
Hi. Hope nobody knows me. Good, well, I'll keep it that way. I would just like to say, think about this. You're down there, you got 2 lanes to go through, and you've been sitting behind six semis to get through a single light. And what I've been told is that it'll slow things down so that more people will get out of their vehicles and go to the shops. When's the last time you were in a traffic jam and you thought, oh, this is a great time to get out of the car and go? Really? Think about that, okay? And if safety is an issue, well, first of all, the Dawn's a great place. And I believe the reason more people don't go there is because there's no place to park. I mean, there is no real parking space there. There isn't. Yeah, well, going from 1 lane to 2 lanes and giving enough room for people to get out safely to their car, if that's a real issue, how is that going to give more parking space? You're still going to be able to park this way, the same amount of cars. If there's 1 lane, 2 lanes, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, okay? I guess another thing, if I can remember, I just came from school, so forgive me. There's something else if the state is the problem, look at all the other problems that the state has caused this city. They're the ones that screwed up roads in the first place. Now the state says, let's do this. Let's believe them. Okay, just think about that. Just let's believe them. Yeah.
I don't know your name.
Good, let's say it that way. No, I'm Bob Livingston. Okay, yeah, if that makes any, so, at any rate, it just doesn't seem logical to me, the musician, and think about that, musicians are not, yeah, we're logical. Hey, don't laugh. I'm an artist. So you're right there, yeah. But to think about the fact that we're gonna go from 2 lanes one way to 1 lane, and think everyone's gonna be happy sitting behind those trucks when you're in a hurry, and it's gonna take a lot more than 6 seconds longer. Okay? It's just going to, there's no way around that. So if safety is a problem, and I get getting out of your car down there when people are going, and you're at the church, and it's like, I don't know if I can get out of here with all these people going by so fast. So why not do this? Slow the traffic down, make it slower. And instead of taking up the whole lane, why not just take up part of the 10, 15-foot sidewalk, push it over, make that lane a little bigger for the parking so that you can safely get out and not take up everything to make everybody frustrated and say, oh, let's get out and walk around. I mean, if you really think about it, does that make a lot of sense? I mean, when was the last, one last time, I'm done. When was the last time you were in a traffic situation like that, and you thought, oh, there's a nice shop, I'll stop and get out and go there while we're stuck in traffic? Okay, sorry, that's all I gotta say.
Musicians like things in 4.
Hey, no, I like 5 and 7.
Okay.
CJ Toncray, Ward 3. I also have a building downtown. I'm very torn on this, very torn. I love the idea of adding parking, absolutely love it, because it would affect my building and my tenants above to have an actual place to park. I imagine in the front where I've had in 1 month, 3 people, my car included, had the side mirror removed. They don't even stop. Now don't tell me they didn't hear it hit. But, so I like the idea of slowing it down. You had mentioned about slowing the traffic. I even asked MDOT, and that isn't even an option because they control the road. It'd be nice if they would slow it down to 25. I would love to be able to open my door to get out, but I'm a numbers person. And when I start hearing the numbers, and if it costs the city $135,000 with the people that are investing, I don't understand. I don't know if that's a lose. I would love to see more of the buildings downtown get filled. I would love to see it thriving. I love the fact, Luke, what you did downtown with the party. I'm like, let's bring people downtown. Make people stay open past 5 o'clock and quit shutting the lights off and rolling up the sidewalks. So I'm very torn on this. I don't know if on the fence is even where I'm at because there's so many pros and cons. I hate the idea of calling it a bike lane because all I keep imagining is opening my door and taking somebody out. But I just recently drove in Washington, D.C. and New York, and they have bikes everywhere, and so you're aware of the bikes. We don't have people riding bikes, and if we had the bike lane, would they start riding more? But as a community, we don't pay attention to the bikes because that's not something we're used to. And so it concerns me to kill a biker or have them kill me. It would be worse. But anyway, so again, I have to say I've been in Hillsdale for a little over 12 years, and the only time I see such a great turnout is when there's controversy, so I love it. I absolutely love it, because in the city council, in the library board, in any of the things that there is, the only time people show up and get involved is when there's controversy, so keep it coming. And so that people bring in their opinions and get involved. Thank you.
My name is Evans Meckes. I'm out of Adams Township. I feel like either I'm coming from the twilight zone or I'm in the twilight zone. I've been here we moved in 2010, and I use Hillsdale all the time. There's all kinds of reasons to come to Hillsdale. I come down Broad Street from that direction. I come into town. I don't know. Doesn't seem like a problem to me. I just don't understand what all the hullabaloo is about. The Dawn Theater. We went to one of the shows at the Dawn Theater. No, we didn't park in front of the Dawn Theater. We parked a few blocks away and walked there. I mean, I don't know what everybody's talking about. It's like, now maybe it's because I'm from Ann Arbor.
That could be it.
But I was just in Ann Arbor today. Went to the hospital. Driving down Huron, making the turn to go up into the hospital. Students crossing the street, traffic. I mean, just traffic. Careful. Careful, you have to be careful. I saw a semi-truck coming down Huron. Here are these students, cars. I mean, I guess the word I want to use is personal responsibility. Personal responsibility and paying attention. I mean, and then driving around the hospital, you have to pay attention. There's no magic wand as to what to do with traffic and how to avoid hitting people and stuff. You have to pay attention. When you open a door to get out, you have side mirrors. You're supposed to look and see if a car is coming. There was the guy at one of the meetings, he was a state guy, and somebody brought up, well, the bike lane, and people are going to run into your door when you open it. He says, well, you know, actually, there's a term for that. I don't know if you guys were there. I forget what he said. There's a term for that bicyclists use because the door's open and they run into them. Now, if you have a big bike lane and you still don't pay attention to your side view mirror, you could still open it up and the bike's going to run into it. There's no magic. You have to pay attention. I was in Dexter today as well. I don't know if you know that. Diagonal parking. How do you back out of diagonal parking? Carefully. carefully. I mean, I just don't know what you guys are all talking about. This is like sweet whatever here. I park down on I park on House Street, go to the Hunt Club or wherever. If I have to park a little further away, so what? I walk a few blocks. I was in Dexter the other day. Dexter's busier than hell. I couldn't find a parking spot. I had to park almost 2 blocks away to get to the downtown area. Big deal. Big deal. I had to walk 2 blocks. I mean, you people are talking about stuff that I'm just like, what in the world? I want to tell you a short story. I grew up in Detroit as 8 to 10 years old. You know Jefferson Avenue in Detroit? You familiar with Jefferson Avenue? Yeah. 6 to 8 lanes, right? I went to school, and then I went to Greek school, after school. And Greek school was on the other side of Jefferson. My mother walked me to the Greek school a couple of times. After that, I walked there. I had to cross Jefferson Avenue as an 8 or 9-year-old. How did I do that? I paid attention. My God, I mean, what are you people looking for? I don't get this. This is like insanity to me, to be like, oh my God, we gotta fix Broad Street. What is wrong with Broad Street? Jeez, oh peace. Anyway, what else did I have to say? I don't know. I didn't write anything down. I wasn't gonna talk, but I couldn't stand it anymore. But anyway, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm starting us. I live in Ward 3, I think. It's this one, whichever one this number is. I'm in that one. I can say, I hope my friend Eric won't mind me saying this, but I was possibly the only person in town who was glad to learn that his dog died. Well, let me contextualize that. I actually like Eric's dog. She is nice. I don't like all dogs, but I did like her. But I say that because I was in my office when it happened, and my wife texted me. This was for the party, for the parade that goes to open the fair, and I wasn't at the party, but I've been in previous years, and I could visualize all these children on the curb running around, waiting to get candy thrown at them, not necessarily paying 100% attention. Apologize for that. But Laura just texted me, oh, Lucy was hit by a car and killed. And my heart jumped in my mouth for about 2 seconds until I realized that Lucy was the dog. And I was like, oh, thank God it was just a dog. Sorry, Eric. But I thought that Lucy was a child, and I live in mortal dread of this. When my daughter was a toddler, we lived 1 block off Peachtree Road in Atlanta, which, if you know the north side of Atlanta, is a 6-lane highway. It's the busiest road in metro Atlanta that's not a divided highway, which, believe me, is hard to achieve. There's a lot of them. That was super dangerous, and I lived in dread that my little girl was going to end up in the street somehow and get hit by a car, and that would be the end of it. It's not Detroit, it's not Atlanta. I think there's a couple of arguments on both sides that I've heard laughed at by the other side that probably deserve to be laughed at. This is not the premise of the movie Cars. No one is going to stop their 18-wheeler and get out and go and buy some handmade pottery and toasted mud because the miles per hour drops to 25. That's obviously not happening. That's not what we're talking about. No, this place is not going to turn into Ann Arbor overnight if we go from 4 lanes to 2. We're not going to have skinny jeans all over the place. No, it's not going to turn into Metro Atlanta with, tailbacks 8 miles long because we went from 4 lanes to 2, right? These are all kind of ridiculous arguments. I am moderately in favor of this because I think it's a moderately good idea. I think it's a marginal improvement on our downtown. I apologize for being a little bit late. I wish I had a better excuse. I was drinking with my pals. I missed whatever Luke said, but my understanding is that this is closer to being more or less cost neutral in that some of the money is money that the city would eventually have to budget to spend for infrastructure improvement downtown anyway. I don't know what the status is with Luke's generous and clever game of chess with the city at the courthouse annex, whether they, or the county, I don't know if that worked or whatever, but, you know, I don't know. It sounds like a lot of this money is money we're gonna have to spend at some point. A few $100,000 for a good idea seems reasonable. I absolutely agree. I don't like grant money either, all of this stuff. You know, our state is going broke because we spend too much money on public education, and our nation is going broke because we spend too much money on Social Security and Medicare. If you guys want to fix those, like, I'm 100% in favor of that. I think this ship sailed a long time ago, and it's not coming back, so it's like all you can do is either accept the money or turn it down to cut off your own nose to spite your face. So, yeah, I don't like it, but the money's there, you know, we may as well take it. So, you know, anyway, all that to say, the argument really is just making downtown marginally better as a livable environment and not treating it like a place that people should move through as fast as possible in as large a volume as possible. You probably picked up on the fact that I am not from here or anywhere very near here. I know a lot of people don't like this idea because it seems like the kind of places, the kind of things that you do in places where those people live, you know? And maybe I sound like one of those people. I also ride a bike and drive a really, really small car that my friends think is kind of gay, but, you know, I'm not one of those people. Believe me, I am super conservative. I am a localist, not a globalist. I am a somewhere person, not a nowhere person. I live here on purpose. My daughter was born here. If you told me that my grandchildren would die here 100 years from now, surrounded by their grandchildren, I'd be thrilled. This is a place that we're all in because we want to be here, and we want it to be nicer for people who live here and not easier for people who don't live here to move through at speeds that are going to inconvenience us. That's all I care about, and I don't really understand why anyone doesn't feel the same way, but anyway.
You can't beat that.
All set? Anyone else?
Appreciate that.
Anybody in? Oh.
Jack.
My name is Jack McLean. I live in Hillsdale Township, actually. One thing I've been reading, like in the Hillsdalian, is there was an article about how Mr. Soha changed his vote. Well, at the meeting that he voted against the road diet, before that happened, he told the story about almost hitting someone in front of the St. Anthony's Church. And then he voted against the diet, which didn't make a lot of sense to me, but some of his constituents had signed a letter, and I thought it should be a majority of his constituents, but there was only 17 signatures on that. So either he lives in a very small ward, or he wasn't following all of his constituents. The speed limit's not gonna change. I go up Fayette Street a lot. If you people on Broad Street think there's a speed problem, the Sheriff's Department has one of those speed signs that flashes. So talk to them. The city had one. I don't know if they still have it or not, but I know the Sheriff's Department does. Person with your dog that got hit, you're probably lucky they didn't stop, because they would have sued you, because it's against the law to let your animals run loose and cause a collision. So you're probably lucky they didn't stop. Semi-traffic. This city would be nothing without the semis. The flower shop would be going 3 miles out of their way to get their flowers. The liquor stores would be having to go out of town to get their liquor. What do you guys think's gonna happen if they eliminate the semis? You're not gonna have anything. One thing I see is a big problem downtown, and everybody talks about parking. Across from Gelser's Furniture, nothing but apartment dwellers. and people that actually work in the buildings. The employees or employers should make their people park someplace besides right in front of their stores. I mean, it's just a waste. I mean, then they wonder why they don't have any customers. And I'll just say this, Mr. Sullivan, your renters above Aflac park their cars right in front of the Aflac store, and they may sit there for 2 or 3 days and never move, which takes up space for people wanting to go like to the diner or something there.
Then they should get a ticket.
That doesn't happen. It's just like the speed limit. Police don't enforce that if people are actually going 50 miles an hour. Actually, this happened, and I know I shouldn't have done this, but I did. The parking lot, I used to go to the post office every day. Parking lot across from the post office says 30-minute parking. That's a joke. There was a car parked there, and I'd seen it a lot. It was an out-of-state car. I'm gonna say they were apartment dwellers. I actually laid a cigarette butt on top of their tire. 30 days later, that car moved. Ridiculous in a 30-minute park. It's just, you know, that's not right. One of the councilmen that's running for mayor, part of his campaign bulletin says he wants a corridor between Oak Street and McClellan Street. Well, part of that is what they're doing in this road diet that's costing the taxpayers money, is to change that parking lot and that street in that area. So you're either against it or you're not against it. I mean, if you want that, then speak up and say that. Don't lie to the people and say, well, I don't want this road diet, but I do want you guys to spend your money over here, where the state's not gonna fund that part of it, of course. I don't see anything wrong with the road diet. We do have a bike path in Hillsdale right now, goes up Union Street to the point of no return, I guess. It doesn't come all the way down to Carlton or whatever you wanna call it. It doesn't do that. We're sitting in a building right now that's got the only city bike rack in the city, sitting right outside the door. And across there, there's a big sign that says, no bicycle riding. So you can't even ride in the parking lot out here, but it's the only place there's a bike rack. I mean, let's make some sense, folks. You know, do whatever. Thank you.
It's been a long night. I'm not going to keep you guys here. My name is Andrew Gelzer. I'm a downtown business operator, and the road diet is going to save approximately $500,000 as it stands right now, critical infrastructure repair work in our downtown. And I'd make the suggestion to city councilors that perhaps you do something with those savings instead of continuing to fight them. You can use that to address the SADs, to lower them, address them, reevaluate where they are.
Kill them.
Give it time.
Illegal, kill them.
Mr. Hamilton brought up in 2007, the last time this happened. Our business lost about 30% of our revenue. When MDOT comes to town, it's not always what it appears to be. This traffic calming study or project that we as a community have voted for at this point undoes a lot of that evil, in my mind. This was a great meeting. I loved hearing everyone. I think this is a great cross-section of community stakeholders in this room. And that's it. Thank you.
All set? Anyone else? Very good. Council, anything? That was a really good time. Thank you all for being here. It's good to see you all. Have a good evening.